I'm Teague.
And I'm Sam.
And we are your well-informed girlfriends.
Bringing you today's news, gossip, and unsolicited hot takes. This week, we're chatting about what this week's disappointing jobs report means for the rest of the economy, how the city of Chicago is bracing for the National Guard, and what the Texas versus California redistricting battle is really about.
Yeah, lots of stuff to break down.
Yeah.
We're also chatting about whatever happened with that TikTok ban, ? The decline of reading. Wow.
Love that.
And how science shows that men literally need to lower their standards on dating apps.
Okay, Cash.
I'm sure that'll get us in trouble in the comment section.
I'm sure we're going to be canceled on the internet.
Once again. But all that and so much more on this week's episode. And if you could like and subscribe, we would love you forever.
Yay. All right, let's kick it off with that jobs report.
Let's kick it off with that jobs report because I was shocked to see these numbers.
Were you?
Yes. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm always perpetually worried about the economy and jobs because I'm always kind of like just looking at like what's available and what's around and like whatever. And I have a lot of friends that are looking for jobs actively. So I always just like to keep my finger on the pulse of what's happening in the economy.
For sure. Same. LinkedIn emails me kind of against my will every day anyway.
Yeah. And layoffs are happening everywhere. And as you experienced too, like layoffs are happening all the time. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I was really shocked to see this jobs report. It revealed that there were 22,000 new jobs added, and they were predicting 175,000 new jobs. So obviously dramatically and drastically different than what they were anticipating. So way less jobs were added to the economy. And this is also pretty surprising and stark because he fired the head statistician of the department of whoever releases those numbers.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics.
And by he, she means Donald Trump.
Yes, exactly. Trump fired her when he didn't like her numbers or the numbers that were released under her watch.
Right.
And now now it's like, well, their numbers are still not great. So you really can't fall back on that anymore. Is there anybody else to fire? Who knows? Of course, there probably always is. And then another number that I thought was really interesting is the unemployment number is up.
Yeah.
So up to 4.3%, which is the highest level since October 2021. Yeah.
That's pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of the crux of the matter is like the job market and the overall economy is pretty uncertain right now.
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much every expert I've heard talk about this has said that the uncertainty both on the end of consumers and for importers and for big business, tech, whoever, all of that means it's complicating things and makes people more nervous about hiring and want to cut and make sure that their bottom line is being met.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of it. I've also seen some economists say that the rapid adoption of AI is hurting demand, especially for new college grads. A lot of people who went into computer science, for example, a lot of those entry-level jobs are kind of shrinking or going away. And so I think that it makes really hard for people to make decisions, people being business executives to make decisions. And that's part of what we're seeing. But you and I have talked about this a lot, especially in Hollywood and LA. We have so many unemployed or underemployed friends. It's really a tough time for the economy, actually.
Yeah. I just feel like it is a crazy time. And also it's like the tariffs, it's all happening at one time. And it feels like very overwhelming. It's like AI, it's the tariffs. I think some people are hoping that if the Fed drops the interest rate, that maybe somehow that will mean the businesses will want to invest more in and hire more people. Who knows if that will actually be the result of what happens?
Yeah.
It's just like really hard to tell what's going to happen. So as we say all the time, and I will keep saying it because it's mostly a reminder to myself, if you have a job, you have to keep that job.
Yes.
Because
exactly. Good advice.
The economy is just not predictable right now.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy because you think about like the pandemic, you think about like 2020, like I could have gotten a job at Google. Remember? Like they were like hiring like crazy.
Yeah.
Remember? And it was like a boom in like just hiring. Everybody was looking for places. You could have gotten into one of these huge organizations, like not easily, but like a little bit easier than previously. And now I feel like it's like the pendulum has shifted in a way that's like scary.
Sure. And I think it's important for us to kind of take a step back and remember that we've experienced economic downturns before, like when we graduated from high school or college for some of us. Or like whatever. Like hopefully the pendulum will switch back and we will be okay again. But, in the meantime, we have to weather the storm. And that's sort of that's where we're at, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So
speaking of weathering the storm.
Yeah.
This week, President Donald Trump has proposed deploying the National Guard and federal agents to our hometown, the city of Chicago. Although technically I should mention I'm from the suburbs, not the actual city. Chicagoans, don't at me.
Yeah.
But anyways, if you remember, the National Guard was here in LA. They also got sent into Washington, D.C. The stated purpose is to address crime and undocumented immigration in this specifically Democratic-led city. But anyways, officials in Illinois are saying they don't need this. Governor J.B. Pritzker, he said that this is an authoritarian measure. And he was like, the president of the United States is threatening to go to war with an American city. This is not a joke. This is not normal. That's a direct quote.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what's going on. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few other things to kind of break down.
Yeah.
So first of all, when he did this in Los Angeles, when Trump did this in Los Angeles and sent in the National Guard, that's still up for debate if that was legal. Because like, can you do that in the Constitution? There's like still not really. I don't think. Or I guess the federal judge actually recently ruled that those deployments in Los Angeles did violate a part of the Posse Comitatus Act, which is not anything I knew before reading that word just now. But basically it limits domestic military involvement in law enforcement. So this ruling, effective starting September 12th, may actually directly impact what happens in Chicago. So we might not see it. It might just be a lot of like smoke and mirrors and like maybe it doesn't actually happen. But I think I have to say, regardless, people in Chicago are worried and like, what does that mean for me? Like I go into the city, like, should I be worried like getting to work? Like I have people that have been posting online that are just like, wait, what am I doing? Should I do something differently or like whatever? So that I think is a very interesting piece of this. Also, protests are starting to erupt across Chicago, particularly on Michigan Avenue near the Great Lakes Naval Station, Joliet. Shout out. My place. Rockford, and kind of like demonstrating widespread opposition. So we'll see what happens, but it's definitely, I think, I don't want to, I mean, I will just say it feels like it's like a scare tactic. It's like, what is this going to do, you know? And what did it do? What did it do in Los Angeles? They didn't really do much. There wasn't really much to combat in Los Angeles in my experience and what I saw and witnessed. And they weren't able to do much, and nor was there much for them to do. So who knows if that would be the same situation that happens in Chicago, but I guess we'll just have to look.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that in LA, there were raids happening in like workplaces and stuff.
Raids. Yeah, of course.
So that was like very stressful for people, but the guard themselves, I was kind of like,
yeah, the National Guard didn't really do
much.
What
are you guys up to? Yeah, I don't know. And it ended up kind of being a nothing burger. So we'll see if this is also that. I mean, Chicago is called the Windy City because of the politicians and their hot air or whatever. And so we'll see if this ends up being more of just that.
We'll see. Okay, next story.
Okay, the redistricting wars. If you live in California, you've undoubtedly been inundated with these Prop 50 ads, and you might be wondering to yourself, like, what do they even mean? Why are we doing this? Okay. Yeah. I've had a bunch of friends ask me to explain it. So I figured we could just like take a minute to go over what the latest is in the California versus Texas battle for more seats in the House. So, okay. In Texas, lawmakers just redrew the congressional maps mid-decade, and they didn't ask voters. This is just happening, whether Texans like it or not. And it's designed to boost Republican seats for the 2026 elections, meaning they will have more U.S. House seats that are safely secured with these upcoming elections. And they did that like mid-decade, which is not when you're normally going to do it. Anyways, meanwhile, here in California, it's the opposite. Governor Newsom's put out this Prop 50. And it's going to be on the November 4th special election ballot. And that means voters will get to decide if the state should redraw its districts to offset what Texas is doing. And the idea is that like you have to fight fire with fire. That's Governor Newsom's saying, not me. I'm not endorsing either way. But anyways, so that's what's going on. The special election, November 4. So if you see more ads for that, that's what that's about.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, like both states are such big powerhouses as far as like economy and like people and size and, influence. So I feel like it's just like both of these states are going to just see if they can get more influence and power, right? So
yeah, well, California and Texas are already so powerful in the House. It's kind of like they're just trying to prevent a majority of Republicans from happening, I guess, is kind of the takeaway here.
Yeah. And like riddle me this. How this is gerrymandering.
Yeah, oh yeah, this is gerrymandering. There's no other way to put it. But it's gerrymandering, and it has a finite time limit on it in California. It's just until the end of Trump's presidential campaign, and then it goes back to what we have right now, which is it's like a third-party commission that looks at how the state is arranged and determines where your congressional district should be. But this would be gerrymandering in both cases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Great. Okay, cool. So that's interesting. I guess we'll just have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah. Next story is a segment I want to do that we love here called Whatever Happened with That?
Yeah.
And this week we're talking about the TikTok ban.
Okay.
You might remember earlier this year when TikTok briefly went dark, Congress had passed a law forcing the social media outlet's Chinese ownership parent company ByteDance to either sell its U.S. operations or face being banned. And then when Trump took office, he saved TikTok by putting the deadline off, and then it got put off again and again. And now the current cutoff is September 17th. And like TikTok could be pulled from app stores if no deal is done. That said, Trump has said that there are U.S. buyers lined up, and he's open to extending the deadline again if a sale is in the works. So for now, TikTok does live to scroll another day. But if TikTok vanishes on September 17th, now you know why.
Very interesting. I mean, who knows what'll happen. I saw some rumor, and I'd wanted to verify it before I said a rumor out loud. But I don't know. I thought that Oracle was trying to either buy TikTok or something.
Yeah, Oracle was one of the rumored. I think Reuters was reporting that.
Yeah.
It's like there are a bunch of rumors out there with different sources being cited. So it is pretty clear that at least some people are considering buying it. But it's unclear. I also will add that the Chinese government has to approve that sale. So even if, say, like Oracle or somebody were able to purchase it and they make an offer, it doesn't necessarily mean that Chinese government will accept that. So worth considering.
Wow, very interesting. Okay, what's this next story?
Okay, this next story is from The Economist, and it has this really interesting headline. I wanted to talk about it with you today, titled, "Is the Decline of Reading Making Politics Dumber?" And the story points out this wild experiment. Lit majors were given the opening of a Dickens book called Bleak House, and they just couldn't get through it. They couldn't interpret this book. And they're citing this as an example of a larger picture where people everywhere are just reading less. Adults, kids, teens, it's down across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And they cite this study published in August in iScience, a journal, that the share of people who read for pleasure has fallen by 2/5 in 20 years. So the last 20 years, 2/5 of all Americans are reading significantly less.
Yeah.
And what we do read, by the way, is way simpler. Victorian bestsellers might have opened with 150 word sentences. And today's hit books start with motivational one-liners. And, I think part of that is probably due to this attention economy that we're always talking about, TikTok and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it also matters because politics and literacy have always been linked. And simple writing isn't necessarily bad. I work in media. We write for a 6th grade level. But if we lose that ability to process complex ideas, we might lose the nuance. And so that's what they're worried about. And I just wanted to ask what you think about people reading less.
Well, I'm just kind of confused because how does this affect our politics? How does that correlate?
So literacy and politics are inherently linked in that people might not understand more complex ideas if they're only reading things at a 6th grade level. And if you're trying to understand how the Fed works or whether or not you should vote for Prop 50, for example, it might be hard for you to grasp these complex ideas if you aren't generally exercising that muscle in your brain.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting and also helpful that I guess a lot of people at the top are speaking at a 3rd grade level in politics. So yeah. I do feel okay, great if you're going to dumb it down for people. But I feel then you see all of that huge bill that they were calling the big beautiful bill that half the people signed and didn't read.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where it becomes a problem where it's oh, okay.
Right. Well, and the crux, I didn't write all this down in this summary that I wrote about this story, but the crux of that is President Trump does speak at a much lower, I think they found that it's a 3rd or 4th grade level speaking.
Mm-hmm.
They analyzed all of his words, and the issue is when ideas become dumbed down like that, if you say immigrants are taking our jobs or something to that effect.
Yeah.
that isn't exactly what's happening here. You know what I mean? And
right.
I don't think that's really biased of me to say, but I'm sure the internet will find something wrong with it. But if you're just saying that that's the case and then people believe that and you say that to get votes, then you're not really solving the problem to begin with. But
that's probably, and I don't want to play devil's advocate, but that's always been the case with politics, right? I mean, that's like how you get votes, is to like dumb things down and try to like get with people and say groceries are going to be cheaper. Period. Like,
wait, but whatever happened with that?
Yeah, right. Interesting, because I like can't afford food. That's very interesting.
Right.
Yeah. So very interesting. Huh. Okay. Next story. What is it?
Okay. The Atlantic is covering the world of sorority rush. And if you are on TikTok, you've undoubtedly seen this.
Yeah.
But they're talking about how it's basically a full-blown industry now.
Yeah.
Teague and I went to University of Missouri, and there is rush there. Did you rush?
I did. I rushed. I was in a sorority.
Okay. So you're more familiar with this whole experience than I. But I guess it's bigger than ever. And now you can hire a coach for rush, and for literally thousands of dollars. Like, we're talking $2,000-$3,000. You can hire a coach to teach you how to get a pledge, like how to be a pledge. And they'll teach you like what bracelets to wear and how to like chat up strangers and make small talk. One coach that they interviewed in this Atlantic story has girls practice small talk with waiters, like with
Hilarious.
servers. And yeah, parents are defending it by saying that sororities open doors like to jobs, social connections, and like, social capital in general, I suppose. And for girls who don't have legacy status or wealth, like they might see coaching as a way in, but critics are worried that it'll make it even more exclusive. So I don't know. As
the coaching piece, I don't know if the coaching really does that. I feel like these sororities have always kind of been like, so, I mean, it's like an exclusive club, right? They've always been that way. And I remember rushing and feeling like a little bit overwhelmed and like intimidated by that, because I just went into it being like, oh, this is just gonna be like fun. I'm gonna like meet people. And it was like so much more involved. And like you really had to like know who was at each house and like what the vibe of each house was and who these people were. And like you had to say the right thing. And like I went in like totally kind of blind. And I think I ultimately ended up at a really good place for me and my personality, which was KKG, Kappa Kappa Gamma, my girls. And I thought sororities were great because it's like gives you like an automatic group of friends. And like luckily I also did a bunch of other stuff in college that gave me that, like the dance team and KOMU,
journalism.
Our news room was also like that. But I just feel like I think it's cool that it's like becoming a thing. It bums me out to think that because it's becoming even more exclusive and you have to like feel like you have to compete and you have to like hire a coach and do like that it would be more stressful for girls. I think if anybody who rushes should be able to get into a house, like regardless. I feel the same way though about like sports for middle schoolers. I'm like, if a kid tries out for a team, they should make it. Even if you have to call it JV or like the B squad, like put them on a team, because I feel like that's so important for kids to like be involved. And like, especially if they're putting themselves out there, like if these girls are going to rush and be like, I really want to be a part of your, chapter or whatever. Like, I just hope that like, because it's gotten so big, that it doesn't become more competitive and like more stressful for these girls and they can all find a place. Because I think it is like a nice and cool part of college if it works out for you and that's your vibe. So
I think if I could do it all again, I would have rushed. But I'm like, I am intimidated by the rush talk thing. Like, I don't know if I would have been able to stomach all of that. Like the fit checks and the E. Newton bracelets. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. But it's fun. I mean, it was like such a fun thing to do. And it was cool to like live in the house. And so I hope that it continues, but not as extreme and crazy. There was like that documentary on HBO, Rush Talk.
Oh, I didn't watch. I'll have to watch it because I love Rush Talk.
Yeah, I think it was all right. I don't think it was like that revealing, but it basically just talks about how competitive it is to do these sororities and like how it's become like this whole thing, which I guess is like everything. We love to make things a big deal now, which I love and hate,
Yeah, for sure. Well, should we do our coffee minute?
Let's do our coffee minute.
Okay. Yes. You might notice we are drinking our Blackwood coffees. Dun, 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 dun.
Or our Blackwood matchas.
Sorry, yes.
Very good.
Very good. Shout out to Blackwood Coffee in West Hollywood for sponsoring this coffee minute. Go to Blackwood if you're in LA.
Blackwood is really amazing. And not only does it have really good coffee and matcha and all the things and the treats, I can't forget those, but they're also like, it's a great vibe. It's a great place to like pull open your computer for a few hours or like bring a book and just like hang out. Like Blackwood is just like that place.
For sure.
So,
and like the neighborhood dogs all like stop by. You can pet a dog if you need to.
yeah, and that's really important.
That is important to my mental health.
There's a lot going on and like all I need sometimes is a dog.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Well, this was your Coffee Minute brought to you by Blackwood. Oh, and in our Coffee Minute, we wanted to talk about one of our fun stories for the week, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So in our Coffee Minute brought to you and all of us by Blackwood Coffee, we're talking about matchmaking at weddings. So the New York Times did a story this week about couples who are starting to turn their weddings into matchmaking events. So it's really taking that singles table to a whole new level. So these couples are intentionally trying to set up their friends with other singles before the wedding. So they're like planting the seeds. They're like, okay, maybe John would like Tiffany, and like I'm going to put them next to each other and like really facilitating the whole wedding. And I kind of love it. Do you like this? What's the story?
I personally think that if you were a good friend, you would have been doing that already.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, what are you're waiting until the wedding? Like, if I had a single guy friend, I would set you up with him already.
That's so true.
If I had a single guy friend I thought you would like,
yeah,
I would have already set you up with him. Why are you waiting until this wedding? Like, what?
So true.
Get it together, friends.
Well, I think
I
think what it is it's like an event that like if Sally and like John live in different cities, they're going to be meeting inevitably at this wedding.
Oh, I see.
You know what I'm saying?
They're targeting long distance.
Well, not only that, but like also like different friend groups. Like if your friend lives in Venice and this person lives in Pasadena, they're probably not crossing paths at bars very much or whatever.
Sure.
So like I feel like it's just like intentionally setting people up with, people that they could potentially end up with. So.
Okay. I mean, I love that. And I think that more people should be doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I love that friends are looking out for other friends. So
Yeah.
I support that. But also I'm like, why wait until the wedding? Just be like, hey, do you think this girl is cute?
Yeah.
I like, hey, do you think this guy is cute or whatever? And like make it happen regardless. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Have a birthday party. Like whatever. You don't need to wait for a wedding.
But the thing is too, like I feel like this is like the most successful way to meet somebody now because like the apps, everyone's over it. No one's really doing like I just feel like friends setting up friends is like the tried and true.
Yeah.
And it also
is.
like always ends up like putting you with people that you kind of vibe with anyways because it's like you have similar friends, which means you probably
clearly
have
a similar
taste.
vibe, right?
Yeah. So okay, love that.
Speaking of people being over the apps.
Okay, well, and
this
also
next story.
Thank you again to Blackwood Coffee.
Oh,
for our Coffee Minute.
Sorry, thank you, Blackwood. We love you.
Great. Okay, so we have a new study that came out. Forbes did this story actually this week, and they talked about how men are using dating apps more than women. And this makes sense. This is something we've known for a long time, where there's typically more men on the apps than women.
Right.
But that both genders are seeming to start using the dating apps differently. So first they cite research that shows that men swipe right or approve a lot more people or women than women swipe right and approve men. So women, it makes sense, are just more selective, right?
Like I've already found your social security number and like I know where you live and who you voted for in the last election. Men, I've watched them on airplanes and stuff just do this.
Yeah, exactly. And swipe right on everybody. Yeah, exactly. So that's like one of the things and the differences that like in the way that the different genders are using these apps. So these men are kind of like casting a wide net and women are being more selective.
Right.
It also found this study, it found that men tend to go after women on dating apps who might be perceived as out of their league. So like, I don't know, a guy sees a woman who looks like a supermodel and is like, okay, yeah, that's who I should end up with. And then women tend to go for men who are either equal or even maybe perhaps less desirable than them on the apps, which I thought was very interesting. So women are like, it doesn't really matter, like if you feel like out of my league, like women are more likely to pick somebody who feels a little bit more equal. Mm-hmm. And then men are like more likely to be attracted to these women who look kind of unattainable, which I guess makes sense because the male gaze exists. But right. it turns out that these matches, the matches that end up working are the ones that like people are pretty evenly set up,
So like the weird guy who lives in his mom's basement isn't getting the supermodel, generally speaking.
And it also found that like people who end up together are like in the same tax bracket, for instance. You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
It's like you're going to end up probably with someone who's around your level of whatever that means, like your life experience or like what job, career, whatever it is. But as a result, this means that men are starting to feel like that they are like dating apps are harder because they're like going after these women who are out of their league. So they're very disappointed by what's happening. But women are like, oh yeah, like I've always thought this was going to happen this way because they have like a more realistic version of like what it looks like to date online. But these men are like getting a little bit upset by what's happening and they're like not matching with the women who they think they should be matching with. So the story basically, Forbes summed it up and kind of implied that this study shows that men need to just lower their standards on dating apps.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I guess that doesn't super surprise me based on like what my single guy friends tell me about dating apps.
Yeah, what do they say?
They're just like, oh, well, girls are trying to date above their league, but they've never
looked at themselves in the mirror.
Yeah, exactly. I've had at least 2 guy friends say that to me recently. I'm like, okay, maybe. I was kind of like, I think girls are generally not asking for anything that they're not bringing to the table.
Totally.
Like, okay, a single girlfriend like you or like, Katie or whoever, well-educated, have great jobs, really friendly, outgoing, cute people. Like that's not asking a lot. Yeah. But like y'all don't have boyfriends because I feel like you guys have standards. Yeah. And respect to men in LA and New York. But like, and I've had guys be like, well, yeah, women are just looking for something that doesn't exist. And I'm like, no, there surely are men like that. Like, yeah. I'm confident that men exist that are cute and nice and have jobs and went to college. Like, I think that is a thing. I'm like 99.9% sure. Right. So like, I don't think they're asking for anything unreasonable. So like, what are you guys doing on the apps, men? Like,
and I think it's because they are waiting for this like unicorn. And you're just like, women are just like, yeah, like, I don't really care. Like, I will, whatever, not make it work, but like, I want a relationship. So like, I will meet this guy and whatever. But I think
and you can always meet him and be like, whatever, I didn't like him.
But I think sometimes guys are looking for this like thing that like doesn't really exist, which is like everything's, whatever. I don't know. So
no, I totally could see that happening. Has that been your experience on the dating apps too?
No. I mean, like, I feel like I'm pretty I feel like I go after like a pretty general version. Yeah, like I'm not very specific about really anything on the apps. I'm kind of just like open to like meeting people if it makes like sense with,
Yeah, that's how I was when I did the apps. And I, for full disclosure, met my husband on Hinge. Like, and that's how I approached it too. I was like looking just, for those qualities that just listed, like a smart, well-educated, nice guy. And it, I wasn't super specific about anything. Like what is that song? 6'2", finance, blue eyes.
Oh yeah. I
wasn't looking for that.
Yeah.
6'2" is actually nice, too tall, but 6'2" is like a whole foot taller than me. That's like so aggressive. Yeah. But anyways. Oh my God. Okay. Our next story. I really want to talk about this because this kind of goes hand in hand with what we were just talking about. Okay. Vox this week did a piece asking why single men are so miserable. Oh. And they cited this stat that 2/3 of men under 30 are single and most are not happy about it. And then they mention, we've talked about on this pod before, studies show single women are way more content to be single than single men who report loneliness and dissatisfaction. And like this Vox piece cites the biggest reason as socialization. Many men are taught not to open up emotionally with friends. They put everything on their romantic partner, which we actually discussed recently in that man-keeping story. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, rigid masculinity is telling men that their worth comes from having a partner, a family, being dominant, which just makes dating harder. And research shows, this is what the article concludes, research shows that men who break the cycle, who build real friendships, practice vulnerability, and rethink what masculinity can look like, are not only happier, but actually more attractive partners for women. So if you were looking for the key, like to matching with more women, now lower your standards on dating apps and, practice vulnerability, rethink what masculinity can look like. And I think you'll find someone.
Okay, great. So basically the story is saying that men are more upset about being single than women.
Yes. Yeah. That's the crux of it.
And I think that makes sense because I feel like women, and I love this, but it's like a very trendy thing online to be like, if you're a single girl, like it's okay to be a single girl. Like, and truly my belief has always been, and that's probably why I've been single for a very long time, is unless I don't need a partner at all.
Yeah.
I think like it would be amazing to have a partner, like, and I think obviously at some point that will happen. But like if you're not, I don't want to say a value add because that makes it sound like very like cold. But like if we're not like adding anything to our lives, I would rather be alone because I'm so happy by myself.
Right.
So it's like if you're not like coming and bringing to the table like support or like emotional like vulnerability or whatever it is, you know, then I'm good.
Preach.
You know, so it's
For
like
real.
kind of like, but I think men struggle with that because it's like, yeah, but I'm a guy and I want to like be with someone and I want to like add that value to someone's life. But if you don't add the value, then there's really, you know, you got to figure it out. So,
Seconded. I agree. Totally agree.
totally agree. Okay, well, our last thing I want to talk about. Okay, this is a passion project I've been working on for a while, and I wanted to share it with our audience. I wrote a children's book called "The Fry Who Fell in the Aioli." And it is a very sweet, inspirational story about a crispy French fry named Spud Russet who falls into a bowl of aioli. And first, he's scared. He has never left the comfort of his basket.
Okay.
But then he realizes after going on this epic adventure that sometimes in life, the best, coolest things that happen to you happen after you step outside your comfort
Oh
zone.
my God, no spoilers, Teague.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's great. I'm very proud of this project. My illustrator was amazing. This guy named Shibaru. I found him online. He's so fun and great. And it's a fun book. So it will be available very soon on Amazon. And yeah. Yay, Spud.
Shout out to Spud Russet.
Shout out to Spud Russet, who I think is going to go on several more adventures.
Oh my God,
Think
yay.
about all the dips that Spud could swim through. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about everything he could do.
Okay, so Spud doesn't like get so soggy. He'll just like stops being a sentient being, or like
Here's the thing: like Spud could now find a milkshake. Do you ever have fries and milkshakes?
Yeah, or like a fries and a McFlurry or whatever.
Yeah,
Of course.
exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Ketchup, the normal thing.
It feels like the adventures could never end for Spud.
Right.
Like he could really be introduced. Think about Spud meeting a chicken nugget. Adorable. What if that's like a love story? Spud and Nug. Spud and Nug.
Oh my God. All right. Well,
Oh.
we've already thought of a sequel. Perfect. Amazing.
Obsessed.
I love that.
Wow. Well, this has been such a fun week.
So fun. So happy to be back. Oh, I was on my honeymoon. That's where I was.
Oh, tell
I
us
should have
about
mentioned
it.
that. Oh, well, we're kind of at our time, but
Come
I went to
on.
Italy. It was great. If Italy's open to feedback, it was humid. But apart from that, I loved it. It was amazing. And we tried to see like thousands of years of history in a couple of days. But you know, you do what you can. And it was beautiful. And, you know, I tried to live like a Kardashian. No, I didn't at all. I'm kidding. But it was really nice. And everyone in Italy is so friendly. It was really fun to experience that. And I'd never been to Italy before. So
The best cheese,
great.
the best wine.
oh my gosh. Yeah. Great wine, great pasta. Oh my gosh, the
Oh, the
pasta.
pasta.
Pizza. I had so much pizza. I actually might be on like a pizza cleanse after this.
Yeah, you have to be.
Yeah, exactly.
The gluten.
Maybe I should just be gluten-free.
Maybe.
Anyways, well, thank you so much for joining us this week on Well Informed Girlfriends, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.